Simon Clark, and I've been preparing race boats for the best part of 20 years. And I'd just like to talk you through preparing a cruising boat prepped up to do the round the island race. Easy way to gain performance with any boat is to make sure that what's under the water is helping you as much as it can. So this is a good example of someone who's spent a reasonable amount of care and attention getting their boat ready. They've either wet sanded or heavily scotched the bottom of the boat to try and get it nice and smooth, and then they've spent a bit of time getting a nice finish with a roller on the bottom, and that's a pretty good finish for a cruising boat. You'd be happy with that. Moving down here, they've spot filled and then added some primer over some of the small imperfections in the keel. He's obviously going to add some anti-fouling on this after he's given it a gentle sand. I'd say this is a very, very good finish for a cruising boat. And the other thing to pay attention to under the water is through hull fittings. Now here, this is pretty much how they come standard from the factory, and you can see that this isn't particularly fair to the bottom of the boat. This is an example of a very simple way to fair in your skin fittings. This has basically been done with some car body filler, which is applied over the anti-fouling, and they've scraped it around the fitting to make it fair. And then you simply sand it very lightly with some sandpaper and add anti-fouling. And I'll guarantee that this will stay on for probably 2 years. It's not going to do any harm to your boat at all. If you look up here, but it's started to fall out here, that's quite normal, and you can see the anti-fouling beneath it, so it all remains waterproof. Nothing detrimental to the boat at all. If you haven't had a chance to do the winter's work on the bottom of your boat and get a really good finish, the next best thing is to get a diver down on your boat the weekend before or a couple of days before and ask them to use one of these white scotches or doodle bugs to wipe the bottom of the boat down, clear off any excess weed and muck that's on the bottom of the boat. And it's great because it doesn't really take off any anti-fouling, it just helps to smooth it down. It's sort of the next best thing to wet sanding, really. Another good area which needs to be looked at is the navigation preparation for a race like the Round the Island race. So we've got a chart here. Before the race, you want to know what all your ley lines are. If you feel up to it, put them on your chart plotter or in your GPS, so the whole time you're sailing around you know what course the next leg will be, which will help with sail selection. Are we on the making tack? Are we on the losing tack? All these things you can have in the back of your mind. We've got a book called White Hazards, a very important book because if you find yourself inshore, there are an awful lot of obstructions on the way around the Isle of Wight, and this book is used by all navigators on the top boats, although most of them know it off by heart. The ones who don't have probably hit most of the obstructions anyway. And we've got winning tides, which again you can fill in beforehand, so you know at any time what the tide is doing where you are. Again, very worthwhile. So with the combination of these three things, these are important things which you need for a race like this. So as a final point, we'd like to look at shedding excess pounds off the boat. One of the quickest ways of doing that is making sure your water tanks are empty. Only take enough fuel for the race, or as much as you're going to use realistically over the weekend, so don't go and fill your tank to the brim the night before. If you have a dinghy and outboard on board, probably best to leave those in the back of the car. Heavy things like wine bottles, if you've got a big drinks locker on board, anything you don't really need which weighs quite a lot, it's a good idea to get rid of it.